Next to our in-depth look at the war in Ukraine, we have, of course, talked for weeks about the infusion of cash and weapons by the U.S. to Ukraine. But what does that all mean in terms of the fight against the Russians? Our James Longman has been on the front lines for weeks now and files this report on exactly where things stand.
In a remote corner of eastern Ukraine, an elite group of U.S. veterans welcomes us to their safe house. They're called Operation Dark Horse, and we joined them as they prepared for a mission, providing medical assistance at the front line.
You've got to move safe house constantly.
Pretty frequently.
We spend a lot of time going to the links to make sure that we're not identified, and so we probably have to move every week or so.
You're very close to where the Russians are. Definitely, it's a lot of noise out there sometimes. Yeah, so might hear something.
The house is riddled with bullets and holes from tanks, and the men's beds, bunker style, everyone ready to leave at a moment's notice.
What's motivating you guys? You know, we've seen veterans now being taken by the Russians. We've seen Brits, others being taken by the Russians. I mean, does that not worry you?
There's a need here for advanced tactical medicine that, unfortunately, the Ukrainians, they didn't get to choose the time and the place of the fight. They just got attacked. You know, if you have the capability, you have the responsibility.
This is, of course, unofficial U.S. help. The State Department has warned against any travel to Ukraine. But hundreds of miles away on a different front line, the official American help is being moved into position. A not-so-secret weapon.
Now, HIMARS are some of Ukraine's most highly valued weapons. They're terrified, really, of the Russians finding out where they are, so we're being taken to this secret location.
Using the trees as cover, the rockets are loaded up.
These are the rockets being loaded onto the US HIMARS high-mobility artillery rocket systems. These are the weapons that Ukraine says are making all the difference in its war for the very simple reason that they fire further than anything Ukraine currently has in its artillery. The other important detail is that they're truck-mounted, which means once they're fired, these guys can move.
Ukraine now has 12 of these in combat, and this is what they can do. This ammunition depot in the south struck just this week.
Mainly, we'll work on the crucial, important targets deep within enemy territory. It's the ammo warehouses and the command centers, which you cannot fire with anything else besides this equipment.
And it's not the only heavy weapon making inroads in this war. U.S. howitzers are also here.
The power of that gun is just unreal. It sucks the air out of you as it goes out. Now, this is an active combat zone. They are finding Russian targets.
These weapons are far more agile than anything Ukraine had before, so they can fire from sloped or rocky areas and take the Russians by surprise. But the HIMAR and the howitzer arrived too late to stop Moscow announcing their first victory of this war, their capture of Luhansk. That's half of the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine, the industrial heart of this nation. And now Putin's troops are moving to take the other half. Back at their safe house, the Dark Horse medics are just getting back from setting up a mini field hospital.
How did it go?
Good.
There was some indirect fire that came in pretty close, but it's about par for the course out here.
They filmed this footage at the front. This man seriously dehydrated, in need of immediate medical assistance.
Take him right to the back.
I got to see where they plan their missions.
So this is the operational command center in the bunker under the house. Everything here can be stripped out at a moment's notice if they need to get out quickly. And so what's it like? I mean, what's it like being there?
So honestly, this is different than some of the other previous conflicts. So here it's a little bit more World War I style, right? And everybody's just lobbing artillery or tanks. So that creates a little bit more of a challenge.
So people watching will think, let's just put it bluntly, that you're kind of nuts. This is not your country. This is not your war. They'll be thinking, well, what are you doing?
I think this is our war. I think this is everyone's war.
A big motivation for these men is seeing regular Ukrainians caught in the firing line. And Ukraine has seen a major uptick in Russian missile attacks on civilian areas. One of the deadliest was on this mall in Kremenchuk. The moment the huge anti-ship missile struck, caught on camera.
They're trying to get as much of this rubble out to see if there are any survivors. But look, this is just hell.
We came across two young men who rushed to help regular Ukrainians whose lives will be changed forever.
You went inside with a fire?
Yeah.
To find survivors?
Yes, but it wasn't nobody survived. We found like few burned bodies.
You found burned bodies?
Yeah, it's not good.
Outside Odessa, another massive strike on a civilian target, this time an apartment block. We met Lena, a neighbor overcome with the shock of what had happened.
So Lena has invited us into her home. I mean, take a look at the level of destruction. All her windows have been blown out. Every window, in fact, across. And there's dust, there's grit everywhere. Every surface is covered in it. So take a look. I mean, these were her neighbors, her friends, people she knew. And they were wiped out.
The disinformation war is also in full swing here. Russia repeatedly claiming either false flag events or that they were aiming for military targets.
Military or not, there is no target in Ukraine which is a legitimate target. Civilians are being killed all over this country.
And now this conflict is turning into even more of a proxy war, competing world orders clashing over this slice of Eastern Europe. With President Biden in the Middle East now, in part for talks over how to settle unpredictable energy markets, Vladimir Putin is heading on a trip of his own next week to Iran, who the US believes is supplying Moscow with hundreds of combat drones to use in this fight. Perhaps most worrying for Ukraine is Russia's determination to Russify areas under its control. In the southern city of Kherson, occupied since March, the Russian ruble has been introduced as legal currency, Russian passports are being issued, and school curriculums are being changed to reflect the Kremlin's version of reality. With Luhansk already in Russian control and Donetsk in their sights, huge swathes of territory are slowly being swallowed up. Ukraine says it's entering a crucial period where it needs more foreign help to push Putin's forces back before the winter comes. If not, Russian roots will sink so deeply into their land that they'll get frozen in place, and the country they knew may be lost for good.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.